Now you'll notice on the table here I've got 2 cluster connections left. The larger of the two is our standard cluster connector for the speedometer, and that's going to give us a 12-volt feed in case the car has a tach, which this one does, our tach wire, our ground for any grounds that we need, and our lamp connection. Okay. We've also got our right turn, our left turn is light blue, and we've got our light green. Alright, we'll get to that in a minute. This other connection right here is for your electronic speedometer. Unless you are using an electronic speedometer, you will not use this connection whatsoever. If you've got an aftermarket speedometer that is electric, you will need this connection. Okay? For our car, we're using the stock standard mechanical speedo in this car. There's nothing out of the ordinary on this, so we're not going to use this. You'll notice that in the car, when you go back to your car, there's a male end that goes into here, and those blades are exposed. What I would recommend that you do is just take a piece of duct tape or something of that nature. Just tape the end of that connector closed, or if you prefer, you can just cut the ends of these wires and plug that on there just to cap that, because the pink wire that is in that connection is 12-volt ignition hot. We're going to get our speedometer here, and what you have to do, you've got your left turn, your right turn, your high beam indication, and then there's 2, which you can't see, I'll show you in a minute, holes on either side of the cluster. Those are our lamp connections to light up and illuminate the speedometer. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip this over and you'll see what I'm talking about. Left turn, right turn, high beam, and these are 2 illuminations here. Now we've got a little bit of a unique situation in the fact that this car has a steering column tach, so I've got to make sure I leave enough of a connection to do that. So what I'm going to do first is we want to just leave a short leader on this thing like we've done with these. You'll see we've got about, about 7 or 8 inches just to plug into the dash connections. And I'm going to do the same thing on this one. I'm going to cut all these probably right about 8 inches or so. This is our left turn, right turn, and high beam indicator. Now again, we're going to use our factory style light sockets. We're going to need 5 for this particular application. So we'll get them out, even though we're not doing the lamps just yet. We'll need them around. We're going to need our rivets here, so we're going to cut some more rivets off. And we do give you a few extras in case you make a mistake, but you want to try and avoid making a mistake if you don't have to. I'm going to go ahead and clip all these off that we have for right now, even though we're not going to use them all right this second. And you want to just get a little bit of a strip, probably about 3/16 of an inch or so, on these 3 wires. Again, remember, we've got to slide the light socket onto the connection first. If you try and put the rivet on, the light socket's not going to go on. The idea is to trap the socket onto the connector. Or onto the wire, I should say. Excuse me. Okay, we're going to get our crimper. We'll load our rivet in there. Put our wire in, give it a little squeeze. Forms the rivet, then we come in on the small side. We're all done. Okay, we're going to repeat that process on the left turn and on the high beam. Okay, we've got our turn signal and our left and right turns done. Now, we've got a little bit of a unique situation in the regard that we've got a tach in this car. So what we're going to do, we're going to need a lamp for that tach, we're going to need a ground, we're going to need 12 volts, and we're going to need a signal. Right now we're going to put our power, ground, pulse wire for our tach aside. We're going to deal with our lamp. Now, as I said, we want all of our lamps to be about this long. So what we're going to do is we're going to just measure this. We're going to do a little inline splice here. We're going to cut our gray wire where we can get out of here. And we're going to have to do 2 lamp sockets. And the idea is to have them be the same length because there are the wires. So you measure and allow for a little bit of overage on your splice there. So we're going to prefab a couple wires here. You could do your inline splice first, but what we're going to do is we're going to get these wires done beforehand. That way we don't have to put the rivets on afterwards. We'll get the rivets on first, and then we'll take our two completed riveted wires with light sockets on them, and we'll put those in our splice. I'll show you why in a second. Okay, so we've got that one done. We're going to take that, we're going to load that through our light socket. We're going to strip our wire here for a splice. Splice, you want to go somewhere around 3/8 of an inch. So strip our main feed wire coming out of our main connector here, also about 3/8. If you want, just give it a little twist like that. It kind of keeps the wires together. Okay, here's our second wire. We're going to insert that in the light socket. Again, we're going to strip that about 3/8 of an inch. Now, we've also got to get a lamp down to our tack, and I'm not sure how we're going to make that connection just yet since that's on the steering column. I'll do that once this cluster's in the car. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to leave this wire long. Strip it about 3/8 of an inch. And we're going to do ourselves a little splice here. Now, your tack wire, 12-volt feed, your ground, you're going to need all that. You're not going to have to ground this cluster specifically because this is a stock cluster. It's mounted in this metal. It's got the stud with nut on it. It's going to go right into the dash frame of the car. It's just going to be self-grounding, so you're not going to have to worry about running an individual ground to it. If you're running some type of an aftermarket cluster, you may need to address that, and you may need to use this and ground your cluster. Keep that in mind. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to have our one main feed wire here, and we're going to splice this to our two lamp sockets, and our wire it's going to go down to our speedometer, or our tack connection, which right now is just laying down underneath the dash of the car. We'll get to that in a minute. We'll take this, and we're going to take our splice clip here. Make sure we have a nice tight connection. And again, we use the factory splice tape here. Cover that up. You can use the butt splices as we discussed, or you can do that with shrink tubing. Heat it up after you solder, just put some shrink tube over it. If you're going to use shrink tubing, make sure your wires are totally cool before you put the shrink tubing on, and you got to put your shrink tubing on your wire before you do any soldering. You got to put that on there and slide it down the wire away, because if you get it anywhere near the heat when you're doing your solder, your shrink tube's going to draw up on it. Okay, so we've got our main connection, both of our lamp wires and our speedometer cluster. Got our left turn, our high beam, and our right turn. We've also got this extra gray wire in our splice, which we're going to run down to our tack area. Now, I know we don't need quite this much. Tack has a nice long lead on it. Probably going to do this with a 4-way connector up under the dash. Again, you can use your male and female connections right in this package here, butt splices, however you want to do it. We have the capability of using a 4-way connector here, so that's what I'm going to use in this particular installation. I know these wires don't have to be quite this long. I'm going to make them about 8 or 10 inches long, and I'm just going to cut them for right now. And they'll just hang under the dash. Alright, we're going to get some light bulbs, get them in our sockets here, and then we're going to pop these in, and we'll show you what's next.